Death is on the tip of her tongue.
Heavy rain pats the window pane of a disheveled garage. Mrs. Red, young, pale, and sickly, yet beautiful in her feeble state, lies on her bed, hand under head. Slowly, a pair of hands cover her with a blanket. Mrs. Red opens her eyes to Mr. Black.
Her demands are wicked, but we pursued the same thing.
A gentle but battle-torn face and bandaged hand. He offers her a smirk. Mrs. Red returns the smile. Mr. Black inspects her bandaged shoulder. A bullet wound dots the end of her collarbone.
How are you holding up? Better now. Much better once we get away from here.
Mr. Black reaches for a cup of water, lifts Mrs. Red's head, lets her drink.
It's not enough, is it? I'm sorry. Don't make excuses. Not for me. I know, but I love you. Love doesn't pay for a Greyhound ticket, does it?
Mr. Black places the cup back. Mr. Black brushes her hair behind her ear with his bandaged hand.
I don't know if I can take another fight.
Despite her bullet wound, Mrs. Red rolls over on top of Mr. Black, playful.
Just one more time, darling.
She kisses his bruised left cheek.
We almost have enough.
She kisses his scarred right cheek.
Then we can leave town.
She shrugs.
You're a dead man either way.
Mr. Black turns her over, gets on top, kisses her.
Death is on the tip of her tongue.
He smiles, lifts himself away from her, though she still holds onto his hand. They break. Mr. Black walks into an empty, trashed lot. The tattered warehouse is the backdrop to a neighborhood ravaged with filth. Mr. White, dipped in shadow, decked in a fedora, waits with a cigarette pressed between his lips. Smoke spirals. Mr. Black slows, begins to turn away, but Mr. White salutes him. Mr. Black returns the salute, proceeds cautiously.
If it ain't the comeback kid with the golden gloves. I've been seeing you a lot lately. This is your fourth time back this week, ain't it? Wasn't one knockout enough?
Mr. White cackles as Mr. Black slips him a wad of cash.
My dame's been missing a few days. You know, the Negro gal. You wouldn't know where she is, would you?
Who is it today, Mr. White?
Mr. White nods just beyond Mr. Black's head. He turns. A cigarette falls to the ground, crushed by a Converse All-Star. Kid, dressed in a white mandarin shirt, swaggers towards the pair.
I'll admit, thought you'd be yellow tonight. This Oriental kid here is the best this side of town.
The good ones always pay more.
He reaches them, hands Mr. White his own stack of money, his eyes never leaving Mr. Black's.
Guns.
The men relinquish their weapons to Mr. White, though Mr. Black is reluctant. Mr. Black pulls off his jacket. Mr. White waves a hand into the warehouse.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Mr. Black slumps over to Mr. White, who gives him his coat. Mr. White hands him a larger wad of cash. Mr. Black tips his hat and limps away.
If you see my gal, be sure to give one of my boys a ring.
Mr. Black lifts his hand in acknowledgement as he walks into the night. From the shadows, a henchman dressed in a black suit comes to Mr. White's side.
Follow him.
We didn't have to hide. There could just be me and him. Love and lust. But I didn't love him. And he lusted for me.
Let's get you to a doctor.
You first.
Mr. Black kisses her on the forehead. The gun cocks. Don't move. The henchman holds Mr. Black at gunpoint. Mr. White steps out of the shadows.
You got a lot of moxie, kid. A lot of moxie. Turn around, don't try nothing. How dare you go away with my dame?
I was never yours.
Shut your mouth. Take her to the car.
The henchman stomps over to Mrs. Red, but Mr. Black steps in front of him.
Trying to be the hero, son? Don't waste your time. Not on this one. Enough, kid. Step aside.
No.
What did you say to me? Huh? Speak up. You washed up piece of trash? Come on, wise guy. Ain't so gold now, are you?
Stop it. You're pathetic, you know that? Going around looking for one girl? Well, you've got me. Leave him out of this.
Get out of my way, or...
Or what? You'll shoot me? Go ahead. Do it. Do it!
Mr. Black goes for his gun as Mr. White and Mrs. Red struggle.
He could die for me. But for what?
Mr. Black falls back. The henchman's gun barrel smokes.
No!
Mrs. Red runs to his side.
Is it my face? My lips? My eyes? Does it matter? Should I scream and pitch a fit? Tell the poor guy I was sorry? Tell him I could have loved him? He's just another fella, caught up in my bloody affair.